Hello, everybody, and welcome to Capsule Cast Week 13. I am your host, DoorGuard, with my co host, Donut,
Hello there.
and our special guest this week, who may or may not have been on the cast already. You guys can figure that out. Zem.
How we doing?
He is a Buujins supporter, non cast member yet, but we will find out if that changes in the future, and many other things he does for the league, including stats, testing, testing for everybody's personal sake, testing again. You do way more testing than you should during the season.
I do a lot
And
for the league.
commentator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and commentator, everything under
Yep.
the hat. So certainly, basically runner. I think people would get you and Jim confused quite easily if they found out how much difference you guys are doing on the front and back end. But all right, you guys ready to get into match number one?
Let's do
Yep.
it.
Alrighty then. Match number one, we have Hybrids versus Rugrats. Certainly a fun match. Technically, two pseudo hybrids teams fighting each other, just one taller. An interesting note on one reason to go and rewatch this match, we did have, for the second time this season, a Gotenks transformation. They did allow it. So, starting it off, we had Ult versus Cell Jr., Ultimate doing what he normally does and just destroying Cell Jr. before Goten comes in and does what he's been doing, which is lose a bar and transform, and just kind of popping off a little bit, but ult tags before going down. Gotenks actually manages to hit a near 20k ult on Super Saiyan Teen, so kind of ruining his week for another week in a row. But he actually tags out. Gotenks finally tags out when he's down to near his last bar, and after taking 11k ult from Sword Trunks, it was kind of understandable. So Aurelie doing some bars and tagging, actually an early tag from her. Gotenks finally finishes off Sword, giving Sword another reasonable week, honestly. He's turned into quite the character. Future finally finishes off Gotenks. Future tags with his last bar. Aurelie takes out Ultimate and Teen before finally getting finished off by Future B2, giving Hybrids the win. So this was quite an interesting week. I don't think we've seen Hybrids do a tag game quite like they've done. Granted, it may have injured Future stats, but I think overall having a 7k week on Future and securing a win with kind of the health bar lead they had is always impressive. And really, both teams had characters pop off on both sides. I think obviously Sword Trucks being consistent and Gotenks having a pretty good showing is never bad. So, Zem, how'd you feel about the first match of the week?
It was a really good, interesting match. The Go Tanks is always nice to see. Talking to Rugrats, often they say that base Gotenks is like the worst form of Gotenks. So I wonder if he would have done better if he would have went Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 3, but still around the what a plus 90k performance. So still really good from Gotenks, and he's been doing the work, at least making it worth fusing into. Uh, Hybrids, I thought they were on the ropes, especially with how much work Gotenks was doing. But the nice tag game from Hybrids definitely pulled through. Sword Trunks is looking a little bit better, even though he's not spamming it like they want him to. At least he has the melee game to keep up, so he's doing fine. But God, Keen is just slowly falling. Like that boy's a glass cannon to say the least, and if you tip over that cannon, it just shatters into pieces. So hopefully I can do something with that. But no, really good match, and hybrids are still fighting to try to make it into the playoff, and Rugrats are, I think they're in or almost confirmed in.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's super close,
Yeah, they're
but they're
in. I think
they're
they're in.
yeah. I believe they're in the same Kai as Sentai, so
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
there's
Sentai lost,
basically
so
they're confirmed in. They don't have buy confirmed, so that's what they're
yeah,
fighting for.
yeah. But they're
Okay.
in the playoffs no matter what.
All right, so
And
Donut, how'd you feel about this match here?
Um, I thought it was interesting. I thought it'd be back and forth, and it was. It's always nice to see the fusion come out for Red Rats. You don't usually see that too often. And ironically, both times they've had him in, they've had losses, both to Derp and now hybrids. So that's something to keep in mind if they want to do it again, for this week or next week. Um, and maybe playoffs depending, right? But I don't expect to see it. For hybrids, I thought they were a little bit on the ropes, as Zem said. But Ultimate Gohan having a stellar outing, per usual, basically for him. And yeah, really the tag game was kind of the big key factor, right? Teen having two tags alone, equaling Red Rats as a whole. And then obviously Ultimate and Future having a tag helps out in the long run for saviors to health regen, all that fun stuff. And yeah, hybrids really needed this win to stay in the playoff hunt, and they got it. So congrats to them.
Yeah, I would say it's hard to say if this was a bad Teen Gohan performance when you come out and get hit by a Goten ult for half your health.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say if Gotenks is good or bad because when you look at it, they've done over 90k both times, but would
Yep.
Goten and Trunks do more separate? You know, if you get a 60k out of Gotenks and like an 80k out of Kid Trunks, then all of a sudden you're like, well, should they be fused? They're better than most two character combinations, you know, outside that, but are they just so good separate? So will be
Yeah,
interesting.
it is interesting because Goten and Kid Trunks are 4th and 8th in the standings respectively. So that's pretty good numbers, right? If you, I don't know if you want to split them up or keep them, fused. That's something they'll definitely have to think about going forward.
Well, do you guys have any final remarks, or are you guys ready to move on to match number 2?
Good to move on.
Let's do it.
Alrighty then, we have match number 2 is Muscle versus Resurrected Warriors. Two teams that have been bouncing around a lot this season, so it was going to be a good clash. See what they had in store. So Ader starting out with the tank Eternal Life build versus the all-rounder in 13. Ader actually tags after doing a pretty good chunk and getting 13 to transform, and Vegeta ends up eating some 10k B2s from 13, but he does finish him without losing much more than that. So we have the attack mode Super Trunks coming in, but his dad just wasn't having any of that. And ends up just abandoning him again by tagging. Videl enters and Trunk transforms into Super Omega Trunks form, certainly one of the more ridiculous forms in this league. And yeah, that makes Videl tag. She is just scared of that meat. 18 finally finishes off what's left of Trunks, and Roshi comes in, and we get to see, I think, the first Roshi ult this season for about 17k on Android 18. And then tags at 2 bars. And then we get to see probably the I don't know, this is like the 6th or 7th build on Broly, like just straight up different build with Defense, Eternal Life, Super Saiyan, Broly. So he certainly came out and did some work. He takes out 18, the last bar of Vegeta, and what's left of Ader, or gets finally finished off by Ader. And Roshi comes out, takes out Ader, transforms, and Videl takes him out. So certainly a fun match when you go and look at it's another weird one. Lots of tags, some transformations from Muscle that ended up not being as helpful as hurtful. Surprisingly, the two characters that did transform ended up not getting a lot out of them. But overall, I would still say it was a pretty decent match. Um, it appears I have a mistake on the stats here, but that is not the biggest deal for one slide. But otherwise, yeah, I think it was certainly a pretty decent turnout. Obviously, Videl having a pretty decent week is always a good week for Resurrected Warriors, as early Piccolo really stepped into his own form. So always good to see another character stepping up. And Team Muscle still not sure if Roshi or Bojack are really who's doing good or not, because they always seem to kind of flip around. So, Zem, what do you think of match 2 here?
It was a really good match. Resurrected Warriors is really stepping up the consistency levels. Like they're already confirmed for the playoffs, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how well they do in the playoffs because they were struggling with the consistency, but it seems like they're starting to get their team together. Unfortunately, Muscle's still a little bit all over the place, especially with Bojack and Bojack and Roshi doing their kind of thing. But luckily, they're also confirmed in for the playoffs. See if they actually get the bye week though. But just interesting seeing that these two teams who have been kind of struggling trying to iron out all the difficulties before the playoffs, and really want to see where both these teams go. But it was really fun.
So yeah, Donut, how'd you feel about match 2 here?
On paper, I thought it was an upset because I hold Muscle to a high regard as a team just in general. They've made the bowl a lot, and they've shown they can be a top contender. But Resident Warriors, they've shown they have some depth to the team, and I think that's really good going into the playoff matches in a couple weeks now. Because it used to just be like 18. If she didn't pop off, it was kind of doomed for them, right, earlier in the season. And now you see Ada and Vegeta; those two are stepping up. Early Piccolo has had some good outings, and it's really, more of a complete team now. And I like to see that, especially with Vegeta being able to spam down Broly, going 7th rate on the B2s. down the contract with Muscle. Muscle has some kinks to work out with Master Roshi, Bojack, Broly, not always doing the 40K, but they do have 13 and Super Trunks who are some of the best in the league, in my opinion. So I think they'll be fine going to playoffs. They've always been a 5-man team better than a 4-man. So I don't think there's any concern about them. But yeah, I thought it was a really nice back and forth match. The tag game for Resurrected Warriors was on point this week. And yeah, I think both of them have some good upside going into playoffs.
Yeah, certainly not the same Android 18 we've seen with the
Hmm.
ult spam, but a near 40k performance never bad. I know you guys
Hmm.
didn't see this, but I may have fixed the stats and it might be a
Oh.
weird section of the video. But don't worry about it. It looks totally fine. Uh, yeah, so yeah, I think both teams have a lot of promise. Resurrected Warriors being a new team with a lot of weird characters that I don't think people were expecting. An early Piccolo and Videl, and then obviously two androids, and Vegeta was always going to be good. So they've got a lot, and Muscle being the same squad they've had for seasons now are always a strong contender if they can get there. So do you guys have any other remarks on match number two then?
No, I'm
um,
gonna move on.
I'm good.
Alrighty then, let us get on to match number three. So we have Kaiju versus Royals. I believe this is the only divisional we had this week, but certainly was a good one, especially with Kaiju's recent form. Really made it seem like they were ready to step up to the challenge of Majin Vegeta.
Hmm.
A lot of boost used. We have attack +1 on Bardock, Key +1 on Scatter, so he had super +2, Key -1, so he has it fixed the minus there. Power of Rage on King Vegeta, so he still has his defense +2, Eternal Life, and Savior, but they also gave him Power of Rage, and then Latent Energy on Nappa, so he just gets to be even buffer himself. So on Royals, we have an attack +1 on Majin Vegeta and Kibito's Secret Art on Mecha. So if you're paying attention, we have an attack +3 mirror match to start off this match with Majin Vegeta versus Bardock. Whew, that is an all-star matchup that we didn't get to see because they both got drafted the same team. But
Yep.
what a way to get it started. And Bardock kind of getting slapped around, ends up actually transforming, being on Kaiju's home map. I think this is the first or second time we've seen Ape Bardock. So that was certainly awesome, and he actually manages to take Majin Vegeta down to his last bar in a small comeback before going down. Majin goes down to a Nappa Kappa. Mecha blows up the Earth, so we still have Moon with a 12k ult to Nappa's face, about half-inch away. And then he ends up, Nappa actually tags at 2 bars, and that tag probably is what set up Kaiju to continue doing what they do this match. Their tag game this week is what kept him in it, and tagging at 2 bars here might have been the turning point that kept him in a great spot. So Mecha also tags at 2 bars after trading B2s with Scouter, but Scouter's super +2 is just a little too much. Slug takes out Scouter in a great performance. I believe he's on a Key Plus build now, and that's been working wonders for them. And even hits a 13k ult, the weird stretchy arm ult on King Vegeta. Don't get to see that very often, who misses with a returning Orga Blaster. Um, King transforms and tags, so we have a transforming and tagging Ape as well this week. Sluck also transforms, but he gets finished off by Nappa after he hits 2 Kappas on a Mecha as well, and then he tags. So now we have a Deborah versus 2 Saiyans equaling about the same HP, but one being an Ape. And Nappa hitting a fourth ult for 10k to finish the match after several more, or I believe another 2 tags, gave Kaiju the win. So if you want to talk about a tag game, this is probably the definition of a tag game. Basically, from the get-go, Kaiju were tagging. Nappa hit like 4 Nappa Kappas this week. I mean, I don't know what else you can really ask for. I think Royals really stepped up. I know Majin Vegeta only did like 50k, but that's still like a decent performance. Obviously, Deborah and Mecha just not stepping up was the biggest downfall, but Slug doing more than his fair share, trying to keep him in it. Um, I would say this was a great divisional. Obviously, there's a little bit more Zenny on Kaiju's side to throw into this one, or maybe Royals is just saving some I didn't notice. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good divisional um, for this week. So, Zem, how'd you feel about the only divisional this week, match number three?
It was a great match. I love to see Kappa hit all them Nappas, and and it was a great tag game, definitely. Uh, really looking forward to hopefully that both of these teams can make it into the playoffs. But this look how North Korea is looking. It seems like maybe one of these two might not be it, but maybe it'll be Androids. I don't know. But if I can get to see these two teams go at it again in the playoffs and a nice 5v5, that would be awesome. But yeah, this is a great match, great tag game. Really kept it in there, Kaiju. So keep up the good work on that. Especially being a newer team of newer people, that team is doing very well for itself. So very impressed on that. And Royals, you had a really strong slug game. Just kind of tweak a little bit of Mecha Frieza, get Deborah on his A game, how he clapped the Buujins, and you might have something really going for you. So
Yeah, we
hopefully you
don't
both
talk
stay in
about
it
that
and looking
Buujins
forward.
match.
But yeah, great, fantastic match.
Yeah, certainly. Donut, what'd you feel about the divisional this week?
I thought it was it felt like deja vu again. Once again, Kaiju falling behind by a pretty substantial margin and clawing their way back to the tag game, which they've been kind of bread and butter this week. Not this week, but this season as a whole. And no, props to them for doing it. That's a great feat. 4 for 4 on the ults from Nappa is you don't see that too often. That's and go-to level of ults type of thing. Doing that. But yeah, fantastic from them. Sled showcase of the season for him. 6 for 12 on the B2, so fantastic from him. Royals, they still need to work on Frieza and Debur. The Demon King just kind of he's supposed to like if he just stood back and just key blasted them to death, that'd been a lot better than going melee to him and to the ape form and just getting grabbed out of combo and then smacked around. That been that wasn't ideal for him, but props to Kaiju for capitalizing on the mistake. I think both these teams should be able to make playoffs. They both have the teams to do it. But I think right now Kaiju is in a very good position right now, being undefeated in the divisionals. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
I will say if we bring back the greatest hits or do our own version of it here with the new season,
Mhm.
the just the amount of Napa Kappas would have to be in it. Just like the one
Yep.
match where Devilman threw out like 4 ults, even though he only hit like 2, the fact they just threw out so many, just a
Yeah.
great moment of history for this season. Just the amount of multi ults we've actually gotten with the
hmm
AIs being as less spammy as they are. Even Mecha Frieza in the first, what was it, 3 weeks when he spammed like 4 a week every week?
hmm
Yeah. What a weird season it's been to see stuff like that come and go.
hmm I say it feels weird. I think this is the one of the only matches for Royals where Majin Vegeta wasn't actually a focal point of the match. That's actually weird to think about.
Yeah, he's had a
How
few subpar performances, but he really
yeah,
was, I mean, maybe he was just
he
Bardock
was
on
fine.
Attack plus 3,
Y-
but
Yeah, I mean he did fine. He took his man, right? He took his man and then some. So he did perfectly fine, right? So
well, do you
interesting.
guys have any final remarks on match number 3 here?
Kid
Um,
who learned from Napa, do
Yeah,
that.
I know, right?
do that. Whatever that was, do that.
And even learn
No,
from
I'm good.
Super 17, who manages to hit one every week.
Yep.
Alrighty then, let's move on to match number 4 then. Match number 4 being Namek versus Androids. We can just skip this one. Alright,
Yeah.
match number
Match 5.
5. So, match number 4, Namek versus Androids. What could be a potential divisional in the upcoming season with how close these teams are in rating, and even though they're in different Kais now, we don't know for next season, but we did get a boost from Androids, a defense +1 on Cell to counteract the defense minus from the attack +2 defense -1 Patara. So slight use there. There's also Namek, their two members who are unfortunately a little busy with personal circumstances to get the correct lineup in. They posted, I believe, when I talked to their members, it was like 7 minutes after the deadline. So they have a random lineup with random, not random builds, but builds from the last week. So was an interesting way to start this match. Already a lot of bombshells dropped there, but I still think it wasn't too bad of an output by Namek. It was just obviously not quite the A game we've seen, but Android's continuing with what they do. 17 on the Super Plus versus Tam to start. Certainly was kind of who gets the lead here. 17 actually outspam or spams Tam pretty much out of the match and starts working on King Piccolo. And then he tags at 1 bar. Cell comes in and finishes off King and does a 13,000 ult to Nuova. Certainly not what Namek wants, being down 2 characters already. Nuova getting kind of slapped. Um, and even manages to finish Nuova with half a bar left and tags. So at this point, they basically only have late Piccolo. He attempts to come back. So Super 17 does hit a 14k ult on him before getting taken out. 19 comes in, and unfortunately, of all the members, seeing as how Super 17 was the only one killed, and pretty much anybody else could have come back in, they had 19 come out to ruin his stats to keep him looking like the scapegoat of the team. So rest in peace, 19 stats, but a dominating performance by androids on Namek. And even though they had their mistake with the lineup, I don't think this was actually a bad lineup going into them, especially with the order. I think it was probably would have been very similar to what they had would have done. So it was just surprising to see how dominant androids were in taking them out. But congratulations. Hopefully Namek is able to get their builds in a little earlier this next week. What'd you feel about this match, Zem, besides obviously the team in our division staying down?
I mean, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
No Nuova Shenron in the playoffs, I'm fine with that. But no, in all seriousness, the androids have definitely been stepping up in the consistency. 19 is still very consistent. 17, Super 17 is doing the thing. I'm glad they finally got 17 straight, right? And it's ironic that it's the build that he clapped Super Boost cheeks with.
Yep.
As soon as I saw him clap Super Boost cheeks, I'm like, that's the build. And then androids went off and did other things. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yep.
And then I eventually came back to it, was like, this build is good. Like,
Mm.
but
Who knew?
no, yeah, exactly. But Namek is still doing their thing. Unfortunate about the whole build situation thing and making a couple of mistakes this season. But team is still strong overall. I'm not sure if the builds, as you said, would have been, or the lineup would have been different, given that they did put in builds. But maybe they would have actually used some boosts, especially against a team like Androids, which is borderline like a pseudo divisional. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, went a little bit harder just to get the win versus Android. Very unfortunate that they lost, and hopefully in these last 2 weeks they can possibly edge out our defenders or hybrids and get into the playoffs, and hopefully face us Buujins again.
So a quick note, this means androids were nearly the West-Kai Destroyers. They beat everybody except ED. ED was the only team they did not manage to beat, and that was way earlier in the season before they kind of felt like they got 17. That was back when 17 was doing everything he could to not be an Android supporter. So
Yes.
certainly a different time. So how'd you feel about your match here, Donut?
I thought obviously first for foremost GG's, but it was unfortunate that about the builds obviously. But I think the match went about as planned, right? I looked at the lineup and it was about ideal to what we expected them to bring. Tambourine we expected as a starter, Nuova towards the back, like Piccolo at the back. It's basically what we thought, right? So we kind of had a game plan going into it, and we said, well, Cell would have 16 out. We already knew that, and we'll just give Cell the 16's attack +2, right? And we'll use a boost to him on a defense to enable a sort of to save one Zenny for later for Royals. Basically, was our game plan. And it worked out to a T. Obviously, Super 17 doing what he needs to do, and Super 17 is the only concern for us right now, to be honest. And he can't ruin my boy 19 stats, so I'm not too happy about that. And then yeah, obviously I'm very unfortunate for Namek, but they still have some good pieces. They still have Nuova, who can always be a tear. They have like Piccolo, who can go off if he needs to. So I think they still have a strong lineup and they should be able to make playoffs. And yeah, and not much else to say. This we had a game plan, executed well, and that's all needs to be said.
Yeah, certainly not a lot to say in this match, unfortunately. I think Namek are obviously still very much in it with the still very much tied with many of the teams in West-Kai, so they still certainly have a chance, just not a chance to upset Buujins. So Androids, obviously, I believe you guys are holding the top of your division, just barely right now. So
yep, by one game.
Will be interesting to see what happens in these last 2 weeks. So are you guys ready to move on to match number 5?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
let's go ahead.
Alrighty then, match number 5. We have Budokai versus Sentai. So, a lot of us were kind of rooting for Sentai. They had to win this to stay in. With this loss to Budokai, they are officially out of playoffs. There's zero chance for them to make playoffs now. I think it was a good run, but obviously some more things to be desired. And congratulations, Budokai, on the win. Into the actual match, we have the Defense +2 Seiya Woman versus Attack Kidku going at it. Seiya taking at her last bar. Kidku not losing too much, and Seiya Man finishes off Kidku. Nam takes out Seiya Man, takes the red water out of his skin. Ginyu takes out Nam. And he manages to be on the ground and only take a half damage ult from early Goku, which is still about 10k. Early ends up tagging out 1 bar left, and Goku takes out Ginyu. And this was probably the one weird moment of the match. We have Goku on a spam build versus Jace on a super build, and they basically just meleeed each other to death. I think there's 1 or 2 B2s thrown here or there, and that was they didn't really hit with too much and kind of just punched each other into, and Goku ended up taking out um, our boy Jason and taking out Woman as well. Early Goku finishes off Woman, giving Budokai a win by just a bar. Um, so I think it was a pretty decent match. There was a lot of back and forth. The fact it came down to 1 bar was pretty close. It really came down to, I think Jace ran out of juice the last 2 weeks trying to carry his team. But I really got to give it to Budokai. Everybody's looking solid. Uh, Even though early Goku didn't hit the 40k, he did his job. Nam did way more than his job was expected, and Goku and Kid Goku still putting in immense work in their spots. So they're looking like a fearsome team going into playoffs. But Sentai, they technically have 2 weeks of testing now if they would like to use it that way. So, Zem, how'd you feel about match number 5?
It's very unfortunate that Sentai Squad didn't make it. They were looking very strong, getting their consistency together, but Budokai kind of needed the win just as much as Sentai did, and it just sucks that it went down like that. It was a very good match, though. The tag game was there, and it's just unfortunate that Sentai couldn't make it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Sentai does in the future, especially with free agents coming back and seeing what they can change and replace similar to Derp. But Sentai has a good place in my heart. They have the tag team, the cheating, bringing in everybody, and winning matches. And Budokai, they were kind of the odd one out in North Kai, and they're definitely stepping it up. They're fighting for their lives, trying to make it into the playoffs. The rest of crazy North Kai, and really looking forward to seeing if Budokai can make it or not, because I would really like to see that face-off in the Tenkaichi Ball, Budokai versus Buujins again.
Yeah, certainly was a great match, so it would be interesting to see another in. Sentai having the amount of wins they have, it was very surprising with how well they played this season. But again, got to give it to Budokai. Certainly have been fighting as well. So, Donut, how'd you feel about match 5 here?
I thought it was a nice back and forth match. I didn't think either team had a clear advantage going into this one, and it's unfortunate for Sentai obviously because they needed this one to keep alive, but so did Budokai, right? So they both are fighting for a lot right now. And Budokai just had the pieces fall into place for them. Both teams had people who spammed early Goku 1 for 5 and end Goku 1 for 4 on B2s, say Woman 1 for 7. So both team people had people who spammed but didn't hit a lot, and I think this match was really close, mainly due to clashes. That despite Budokai having power of rage on people and unleashed ki on multiple members, they didn't win any clashes, which helped keep Sentai alive in this match. Unfortunately for them, Jace kind of, as you said, spent up all his energy the past few weeks to get those 97,000 outings earlier, and they kind of needed it this time, right? But it didn't line up for them. But I think both teams have a lot going for them. Sentai, I have a lot of faith in them. I think they'll be able to showcase a lot over this offseason and then into next season. I think they'll be able to show up their lineup a lot better and be an actual contender for playoffs next year. For Budokai, keeping it alive, staying in the hunt, and that's all I can really ask for them. So good matchup.
Alrighty then, did you guys have any other remarks you wanted to add on, or you guys ready to move on to match number 6?
I'm good to move on.
Let's do it.
Alrighty then, match number 6. This is me and Zem's big moment. Buujins
Ooh.
versus GT. I'll admit,
Uh,
early on in the season, we were not ready for GT, or we didn't think GT would be as strong as they were when we got to them. But man, did they really turn their season around! And even though this was a win for the Buujins, I think they really came out as a great showing of a new team this season. So we had Tank Eternal Life, Sin Shenron versus Attack Mode Super Buu. And Super Buu hit a few genocide blasts onto the top of Shin Shenron's head and unfortunately melted a little too many brain cells. Shin not able to respond, even getting hit by one of the first chocolate beams I think we've seen this season from Super Buu before getting taken down. Um, and after doing that, I mean, it was just a weird start. Super Buu even going on and doing a good chunk of GT, or not doing a good chunk, but doing some of GT Goku. The Eternal Life on Shin makes his stats look a lot bigger than maybe they really were. Blue Shirt Pan also coming in and doing some work and tagging at 2 bars. We have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta tagging in, doing a bar, tagging out. There's just a lot of tagging going on from GT to try to recoup the early deficit. Even taking out Majub, but it was just kind of already too late with the lead that was created. Evil Boo taking out the last bar of Pan, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta by doing a Beam Clash of all things, and GT Goku, Majin Buu not even coming onto the field with the performances by Majib and Super Buu this week. So I know it wasn't like the greatest showing from Team GT, but I still think they have a lot of characters in the right spot. I know Sin derped a little bit this week, and Pan also has been kind of struggling, but I mean, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and GT Goku certainly tried to bring it back, and it just wasn't quite enough. So, Zem, how'd you feel about this match?
Oh, it was beautiful. uh, so with Buujins already being in, and we need one more win to get the bye week. Super Blue's been kind of iffy, so we're like, yeah, change his AI, change the backup AI. Let's see Goku AI, and I mean, 10 out of 10 B2s, 80K performance. Hopefully he keep up the good work. Melee game was fine. He wasn't as aggressive, but when he did get into the melee scuffle, he did counter and do combos appropriately. So overall, very fine on that front. No complaints there. Majub's still doing his Majub thing. We put him on that melee build, and he's still spamming, so it's whatever. And to be honest, if that's what Super Buu wants to do, I don't really care. If you want to throw out 20 genocide blasts, as long as you're taking your man and doing more, I'm fine with that. But yeah, with Sin going down that early, especially your defense Eternal Life user against a team like Buujins, you can't be down a man on Buujins. If you're down a man, you pretty much lost because Buujins are just so consistent, especially this season. So it was downhill from there. The best part of the match was definitely when Super Buu or Evil Buu kind of grinded on GT Goku's volley, just slid right over it and just stood and looked at him.
Yep.
I love that part. It's like literally encapsulate that whole match right there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an interesting match. GT definitely stepping up. Looking forward to seeing what they do in the playoffs. Love that Buujins are 13-2. I mean 11-2, but yeah, 13-2.
I will
And
say,
hopefully we can keep it up in the playoffs.
remember when you're contemplating the difference between Master Throw and Master Strike? And this was certainly a week that shows Master Throw is better. The Super -2 might have been a little too much against him.
Yeah, and Super Buu did get off some grabs. I did see some of that Master Throw, like 2 to 3K grabs. It's no 16, but and it's better than nothing.
Certainly, yeah. Donut, how'd you feel about this match?
I thought it was a pretty convincing win from Buujins, to be honest. Not saying that GT is a poor team, they still have a lot going for them. Just unfortunately, you had to face Buujins this week. They are quite the scary opponent. As I said, 10 for 10 for Super Buu on B2s, and holistically on Buujins, they went 19 for 21, right? So that's a 90% hit rate on B2s. That's pretty damn impressive right there. And it's any team. That would be any team in the league, handily, if they can do that consistently. So yeah, props to them. GT, this is easily the worst performance from Shin Senron, and I wouldn't put too much stake into it. I think there maybe just be one bad outing, and that's usually a fluke scenario. At least hopefully for them there is, and I think they'll be back in form over these next few weeks. Yeah, Buujins, quite scary opponent. I feel for whoever's facing them for the rest of the 2 weeks here, and whoever has to face them in playoffs. But GT, I think they'll be able to bounce back quite handily.
Yeah, certainly. I think obviously GT are still very much in it for playoffs, and obviously Buujins
Hmm.
are locked. So
Yeah.
don't really need to worry too much about what Buujins do these last 2 weeks. They could do literally anything. But
Hmm.
it'll be. I hope GT can make a bounce back because they've done it multiple times this season, and they were 0 and 4, and certainly have made quite a big comeback to get back into this league. So certainly a good showing, even if they lose. They have that fighting spirit that you need. So you guys ready to get onto match number 7 then?
Yep.
Yep.
Alrighty then. Match number 7, we have Cinema versus Earth Defenders. Cinema on the crusade to fight all of West Kai before the end of the season. What a horrible time to be alive for them. Um,
Yep.
especially this week. But really, they actually did a surprisingly good matchup this week. We have
Mhm.
Defense Mode Yamcha versus Mixed Bag Gogeta. He's still on his weird Key +2, Rush Blast 3, all kinds of stuff just to do everything. Quick, fast attack, just everything. Give him everything. And he actually manages to take out Yamcha and some of Krillin before finally going down to Krillin. Zangaya coming in and having some really good combos. She actually utilized her stun quite well as a grab into B2. So she did what she could before getting taken out by Midku. Um, Midku transforms to Super Saiyan Midku, but unfortunately Garlic Jr. decided to sweep his legs and take him out. Tien takes out Garlic with probably about as literal last HP as you can. So Turles coming in, unfortunately. Funny enough, he flies around for 10 seconds, letting the Eternal Life on Tien get him to nearly 3k life, and then he takes him out just to get a little bit more on his stats, even though it was all downhill from there. So yeah, surprisingly strong performance from Cinema. I wouldn't say that this is like hugely surprising, like they couldn't do this, because they certainly have the members to do this. But you certainly wouldn't expect Earth Defenders basically losing a 3v4 in this way, especially. I know Mid Vegeta was out, but they still had TN, they still had Yamcha, who's been a very good character this season. So kind of was still expecting them to put up a little more of a fight, but I think great performance by Cinema. This locks Earth Defenders also next to Namek and Hybrids, really fighting to get into the thing. I think they're all 8 and 5, so they are terrified at being left out of playoffs right now. So, Zem, how'd you feel about this match?
Uh, it was very impressive that Cinema could get a win like that, especially with no Fasha and how consistent Earth Defenders are. But when it goes, it goes. It was a really, really strong win from both teams. Earth Defenders are still a little shaky at times, but they're still strong. But Cinema, I'm very looking forward to seeing what they can do in the playoffs because that team is getting very strong and consistent. And next season, if they can get Jane working like that, they're going to get even better. So Cinema might be the new scary team. So looking forward to that. And Earth Defenders, they're still fighting for West Kai over here. So now they seem like they're doing pretty well, right? I believe they beat Namek at least, right? They beat Namek, and I believe they're facing hybrids
And they fight
soon.
us last week. They
Yep.
got
Yeah,
Buujins week 15. Yeah, they got a busy schedule.
yeah. So Cinema's not having a fun time. It's good that they're in. They may not get the bye week, but it's good that they're in because if they had to, do all this at the end and still fight for him, I'm not sure they would make it.
Mhm.
But hopefully Earth Defenders can, iron out them kinks and still be good for these last 2 weeks because I think they still have at least one more divisional left to fight. So that might be what causes Earth Defenders to fall out. And West Kai is crazy though.
Certainly, yeah. It's going to be a battle for both these teams, but more so for Earth Defenders. How'd you feel about this match, Donut?
I thought it was a fun match. Pretty back and forth overall at the start, and then yeah, Earth Defenders. I didn't expect to drop this one. I thought they had a team that was pretty solid, and I felt that with Foster out, that Cinema would struggle, but they did show up. There's one of those Scarlet Junior weeks where he just kind of pops off for you, 3 for 3 for clashes, 6 to 10 on B2s. That's very good, right? That's very solid performance overall. And hitting at 73,000, perfectly what you need, right? And then everyone else kind of bouncing, stepping it up to help Scarlet Junior out to take the win. Especially Zangaya. That's shout out to Zangaya's first 40k week. So claps in chat. Um,
Nerfs
and then
guy.
yes, yeah, enough Zendaya, please. 2 OP. Um, And then of defenders, I don't expect this to be a common occurrence. They'll have mid Vegeta next week, and that should help boost the numbers up, and they'll be able to take wins down the line, I believe. They have the team to do it. They'll be a force to reckon with in the playoffs. I do think they have quite a strong team. I'm not too concerned about them. But yeah, so I'm very, very impressed with Cinema for this week, and gives me a little bit more dread for this upcoming week when we face them. But yeah, both teams are strong. They've proven it time and time again this season, and should be fun seeing them both in playoffs.
Yeah,
if
certainly.
Kenneth major.
Yeah, it'll certainly be. I think both these teams have a lot to show. Cinema being a brand new team as well, really trying to make a good impact on their first season. So
Yeah.
certainly interesting to see how they do in playoffs when they move 2-5s because they've never done that before, as with a few other teams that we've already gone over. So certainly will be a crazy time. Are you guys ready for the final match of the week then?
Yeah.
Yep.
Final week. Hype.
Alrighty. We have match number 8 with Cold Kingdom versus Derp. No matter what you predict, Derp technically still aren't going for the wins as much as the results, so it'll be it's always interesting. And they came out with some crazy stuff swinging this week. We had one of the weirdest kind of full melee Devilman builds. After all season being on Key and Super, they decided he keeps slapping people, let's just give him all the slaps. And well, he tried very hard to slap King Cold, but the King did not feel anything for the Devil and kind of took out Devilman. And he did get taken out by Kibito in Revenge, but damage is kind of done there. I think that lead just straight up from Kibito getting some good chunk taken off him by King was just too much. And on top of that, you have a 12.5k ult and B2 from Cooler just destroying Kibito. Jiro actually having a pretty decent week, surprisingly, on another max key build. Takes Cooler to probably near 1 HP, and Cooler gets the tag, and that kind of just sealed the deal, unfortunately. Hercule doing a Dark Souls fat roll, just barely getting under the I-beams of Cooler to finish him off. Meta tagging in or tagging out at 1 bar, and Raccoon finishing off Hercule and Jiro, giving Cold the win. I don't think it was a bad showing at all by Derp. I think even the melee build on Devilman could have some good stuff, but full melee Eternal Life King Cold is a tough customer. A lot of people tested him against him in the preseason as the melee guy, and he certainly showed it. So this was never going to be an easy matchup, but I think he put in good work. Obviously, Jiro still fighting to get a spot on the androids. Donut needs to keep his phone on mute or else he'll get calls every day. But yeah, I mean, not an unexpected result, but certainly I think people were still hoping Derp could sneak out a few wins at the end of the season to make it a little less dire. So, Zem, how'd you feel about the final match of the week here?
It was a funny match. Derp always brings in the laughs. The way that Cooler and Jiro were just kind of exchanging I-beams, like, okay, your turn. All right, no, my turn. Your turn, my turn. So that was funny. Of course, the champ kind of ducking and weaving, rolling that I-beam. Kind of a lackluster performance damage-wise from the champ, but, champ can't carry the team all the time. But they can just get the record that team to pull off their 40k with the champ, still pulling off 50, 60, the wins will definitely start racking in. So looking forward to seeing how Derp evolves next season. They're enjoying their testing game. Despite Jiro doing 45k, I doubt he'll stay on the team. He's just trying to be like, look what I can do. Please keep me. Devilman with the melee game was interesting. I think that was like the first time I've ever seen him hit more than a 3k melee combo. So, I mean, I guess, but I wouldn't be surprised if Devilman's also the one to go on the team as well. Cold still looking strong, looking fairly consistent, trying to fight for their place in the playoffs as well, or the bye week, because they're in, but they just need that bye week now. So looking forward to seeing if they can get it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think both these teams still have a lot to prove. Cold obviously looking to get out of South Kai. Derp obviously looking to get set up for the next season. But I think there's still a lot to fight for this season, even on both sides. So, Donut, what'd you feel about this match?
I thought it was a pretty funny match. As Zem said, Hercule's roll to dodge the B2s, that's always funny to see. The match I think was fairly convincing from Cold overall. The clashes are what kept it very close, 5-5 for Team Dup over there, and that really helped kind of like close the gap and narrow it, make it more competitive, which is good, right? You want competitive matches, right? Devilman, the attack build, I wasn't feeling it. However, the Giroux build actually showed some promise. Now, I don't think it's enough to say, "Hey, he's on the team. Let's sign him to another year of contract." I do think he'll still be dropped, but it was good to see that he can hit 40,000, at least once, once or twice, right? And then that is for Cold, pretty solid day at the park, and King Cold Cooler showing up, and yeah, I think things went pretty well for Cold overall. I think Dup has some good ideas with the Salsa build from a few weeks ago. Hercule is pretty solid overall. They just need to show up some things, maybe a free agent or a new pickup to take out Devilman or someone else. And they'll be cooking for next season. Then Cold trying to get into playoffs, so yeah, that should be good.
Yeah, they've already talked about picking up Dodoria, who's just an extremely strong member. And obviously they have other options that they can look to grab as well. And
Yep.
I mean, I think they have literally nothing is out of the cards for them right now. They are planning to try everything.
Yeah.
And even Cold Kingdom has some options coming up this next season. So
Yeah.
who knows what they'll drop or not.
Yeah, I think Dodo's available, right? So, all hail.
He's been trading all these lackluster performances out of people, man. He's got to
Yeah.
get on a team at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe even on hybrids. Who knows?
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe if they make a pink recoloring? I don't know. They would need a lot to convince us. Well, do you guys have any final statements on the final match here?
No, I think I'm good.
I think I'm good, yeah.
Alrighty then, moving on to the next segment, the return of the playoff predictions. So this is what the playoffs would look like if we were to go into it right now. As we can see, Androids, Rugrats, Buujins, and GT would all have the bye. And as you can see over where GT is, it is extremely close. Every segment is extremely close. Rugrats and GT are tied with everybody, but due to divisionals have it, and Androids are only up by 1 win to stay up over there. And we don't need to worry about the Buujin side. That's just kind of sealed and done. But yeah, Kaiju and Budokai still very close to not only being in, but fighting for the bye. And the other two divisions also extremely close as well. So will be quite interesting to see how these final 2 weeks round out the I guess playoff brackets.
Yep.
Is there anything you guys want to add to this?
If you look at the bottom right with the ED and hybrids, that is our divisional this next week. So that is one to keep an eye on for the playoff picture. If there's a match to watch, that is the one.
Yeah, if Namek wins and the team that lose again, they're just out. That's literally as simple as it is. This divisional's a double. This is like a triple quadruple whammy because they need wins in general, and this means that not only if they lose this, they have to do more than just tie, depending on how they did with Namek. So it's it's extremely terrifying here.
Yep, it's a must-win for both teams right now.
I don't know. Maybe we'll try Super Boo. You got a few weeks left.
Yes. Super +2. Yep, let's do it.
I don't know. Scuddy can't kill us all. He needs some supporters left. And if Zem's already threatening to leave, maybe Zem can get away with offering it. I have no idea. Nobody knows nowadays. It's hard to say. I guess we could all threaten to leave all our teams and make a new team, us three.
There we go.
There you go.
There it is.
We'll make the Goldo squad. We got this.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
But they all have to be pink.
Ah, damn.
Okay.
As long as 19 can come. That's all I need.
Yep.
Pink 19.
Well, moving on, we have the updated tier list. On the left, we have the old one, and on the right, the current new one. Sorry for the quality. I don't know what happened with the copying over. I tried a few times, but the old one just ended up with less pixels. So, but I guess that doesn't matter because we want to look at the new one. Lots of stuff moving around. I believe Ultimate Gohan finally jumped up into the Ultimate Tears or Kings lineup. So good for him. Had a few more people like Aurelie jumping into True Terror, and I believe it was Enkoku as well jumping up there. So good for him. Lots of other fun going on. I think 17 also jumped up. Yeah, 17's also up there, True Terrors. So, hashtag nerf androids. Basically, we need to nerf every team. Every team's too strong. Everybody should be doing 20k. Health bars are too much, right? This is just too much time for stuff. Ult should be killing people instantly. It's what makes sense in the manga. I read this league beforehand, guys. I know exactly how it ends. Buujins never lose again. Well, are there any notable things you guys want to talk about on the tier list? I know a lot of people moved down as well as up.
Yeah.
Seeing Mike Wazowski's of the world are struggling a little bit.
hmm Yeah, I see Super 17 moved down. Metro Freezer Future Gohan's down there, so there's some big names there. The kind of tumbling a little bit.
Yeah, certainly strange to see how far down Deborah has dropped.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be weird if they dropped him this next season. I think Zem and I would have to really look into what the possibilities of Deborah would bring to the team depending on what changes go. Because I know GT will certainly try to find some way to fight for Majub. There's no way you could see Majub running amok in the league like you have and not go, well, he's on our master list, so maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe some
Free agent,
crazy trades go on. But I mean, Deborah is a character with amazing. A lot of the characters in the bottom 3 tiers have some good potential to really move up and move up a lot.
Yep.
Certainly funny though, of all the characters in the somewhat scary, I think there's a few people nobody would expect. For one being Frieza, Kid Buu, Nappa, Scouter Vegeta, Super Saiyan Teen, Gohan. Like these are late Piccolo. These are some characters you'd expect to be way higher up, representing their teams than all the way down here. So, not this isn't like a bad spot, but certainly these are guys you'd expect to be like fighting for horror material.
Yeah, definitely.
So certainly a strange time we're in, but plenty of time to get that fixed up. You guys ready to move on to predictions?
Yep, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Alrighty then. Certainly one of the more anticipated segments that we get called out on for being opinionated, even though they are predictions and mean nothing. But hey, got to do what you got to do. So, match number 1, getting right into it. Cold versus Buujins. I would have to say, even if I wasn't a Buujins supporter, it'd be pretty hard to vote against Buujins with how kind of flip-floppy Cold lineup has been, where some weeks they can do their job and some weeks they're not. So I'm gonna have to give it to Buujins.
This is after builds are up. I know Donut. You ready for this? Buujins actually use boosts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like screw it.
Wow.
Who cares? We're already in. We're good.
Wow.
So let's see what this does. So
Got
we
two
bought a
AI,
boost.
two different AIs and a boost.
Yeah.
This is,
I need to my petition. Hold up.
Yeah. Like we just might be holding that L.
Oh, I gotta add
Yeah.
Toshiro. He's trying to type in chat. Donut, you can't say this. This is a secret.
Looking forward to seeing how we do. Our team's fairly consistent. Really, it comes down to how the boosts affect Evil Boo and how well Kid Boo does. I can see us losing this one, and if we do, I mean we do. But really, we're just testing. So if there's any time that Cole can beat Buujins, it'd be this week. But I don't, because Buujins are just so strong. So and I'll have to go for my team. I'm gonna say Buujins.
Sure. I'll say the same. I'll say Buujins still, despite the boosts. Fiasco that's gonna happen.
Just one. Just one.
Oh, that's too much. And then, yeah, I think they're too strong right now. They have such a solid core lineup, and while Cold has a lot of pieces, I think Buujins is on another level right now.
You kind of have to squint to see the picture Cold has. It's there, but it's requiring a little more effort than I think they were hoping.
Yeah.
So we have a 3-0 for Buujins. Moving on to match number 2, we have Cinema and Androids. Obviously, Cinema sweep this 4-0 now. I actually gave this to Androids. I think Cinema and Androids are both very much in their stride. I'm pretty sure Cinema is throwing everything into this match, thinking they probably have a better chance with Buujins being the last week. So I'm not 100%. I might have heard that like Zengai is out, but I mean, honestly, at these last 2 weeks, it's going to be a hard fight for Cinema, and Androids are just, I don't see a weak character on their lineup right now ever since they fixed 17. Even with 19 stats not looking great, he's had a couple weird weeks where he's done 2K just because of a tagging situation. So gonna give it to Androids.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Androids too. Cinema, you're climbing up, but Androids have just been climbing up just as strong, and they had a better start.
They also beat Buujins.
Yeah, they did. They beat
Yeah.
Buujins, one of the two
Yeah.
teams to beat Buujins. So Cinema. I mean, Cinema might be one of the teams that beats Buujins. We'll find out in week 15. But
Yeah, it's possible.
Androids, I just feel like a little bit stronger, a little bit more consistent. So I'm gonna have to give it to Androids. But Cinema, you're still a great team.
Yep. I'm gonna be frank on this one. We did bench 17 this week, because we need him for Royals, obviously. Which means
At
that
Snuffy Sam. Oh, what?
I think everyone kind of predicted it. If you look at the lineups we could bring, and they can bench either Turles or Zendaya, so that's a favorite for them. Because Fashion, so that's a very scary thing. I am going to go Androids, obviously, because, well, I'm coach, why wouldn't I? But we still have a lot of pieces. We have 16 coming back in. Big Threat. We have the nuke potential of Super 17. We have the grab potential of 19, and we have Cell, who is Cell. So I think we have a lot going for us, and it should be a very close match, though. I think we'll pull out very, like maybe a bar, 2 bars maybe, but it'll be very close.
Yeah, certainly will be a fun match to watch. Certainly a good start to the week. I think it's really setting up
Yeah.
some good hype. So 3-0 for Androids. But just like with the first match, it could really swing either way. Both teams have a lot to prove. So moving on to match number 3, we have Derp versus Budokai. As much as I want to go for Derp, and I know people still want them to get wins, Budokai just, they look so strong. They almost were a team that took out Buujins, so I mean, you got to give them some credit there. But just even if Derp was having a good season with how Budokai has been playing, especially these last like 3-4 weeks, it's hard not to give him the go ahead here. So I got to give it to Budokai.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Budokai as well. They're hungry for the win. Derp is still just testing. It would be really interesting if Derp, tests something, shines, and beats Budokai. But I think Budokai's a little bit hungrier for the win, so I'm going to have to give it to Budokai.
For me, I'll say Budokai as well. I think they have more going for them. Derp is in testing mode, which is always scary because maybe they find the god build of one of the characters and just goes elite. But I don't expect it to happen. To be honest, I think Budokai has too many weapons and they'll be able to shut down what Derp wants to do.
So we have a 3-0 for Budokai. Moving on to match number 4. We have Earth Defenders versus Hybrids, the last divisional for West-Kai and the only divisional for this week. This is going to be obviously a throw all your Zenny at it kind of match because, as we said earlier, both teams just need wins in general, and this match could be the make it or break it for them making it into playoffs. So it is going to be an extremely tough time. If I'd have to give it to a team, though, I'd have to give it to Earth Defenders. Hybrids having their star guy break so late into the season is just like terrifying for them. Having Teen literally do like almost nothing each week, and he's not doing absolutely nothing, but he's just not doing what he should. Ultimate and Future are still looking good, but they haven't been that same threat they were at the beginning where all of Hybrids look like they could go elite every week. So, I don't know, ED just seems to have a little bit more well-roundedness, but I mean, being this divisional of West-Kai, it's going to be intense.
I'm going to have to go with Hybrids, and really the one thing is they have boost, and that attack +3 Ultimate Gohan is ready to punch his faces in, and I know that for sure. Teen, he has been struggling, sometimes not even any fault of his own. Sometimes his opponent's just way too aggressive or way too hard on him. And I don't feel like outside of maybe Goku, Vegeta, Earth Defender really have the damage to burst Teen down. And if you can't burst Teen down, then he'll burst you down. So I'm gonna have to give it to Hybrids. They just have a little bit more oomph, especially with this.
Alright. For Zenny usage, Earth Defenders has 21 to spend here, and Hybrids has 16 to spend here. So that does favor Earth Defenders very slightly. If I'm going to look at who's going to be benched, I think Krillin will be benched for this one instead of Tien, and I think Sword Trunks will be benched instead of Ultimate Gohan. Kid Gohan will be coming in, and Mid Vegeta will be coming in, and all that favors Earth Defenders by stats, by total number of Zenny. I think this all favors Earth Defenders, and they'll be able to take it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just any divisional is like almost impossible to
predict.
It's
toss-up.
And this is just such an important one for both teams. I'd be very surprised if they didn't Zenny dump just cause. So it will be a fun one to watch. Moving on to match number 5. Oh, sorry, it was 2-1 Earth Defenders to Hybrid. So moving on to match number 5, we have GT versus Kaiju. This is also going to be a very fun one to watch. It is on GT's map, so we won't get to see some strange apes, but man, both teams are just so strong right now, but I feel like Kaiju's tag game and their builds have just been falling into the right place. Even with Raditz coming back and Baby coming back for their teams respectively, I just feel like Kaiju just all their characters are just a little bit in a slightly better step right now, and even without the map advantage, I think they're just looking a little scarier than GT. But whew, this was a hard one. I switched back and forth a lot.
I'm gonna have to go with GT. I feel like GT is a little bit more consistent, especially with Baby coming back. GT is home, so we don't have to worry about no night map or dealing with that. And even if someone does turn ape, they got Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku who can fight this apes like butter. So I'm gonna have to go with GT on this one.
I'm gonna go GT as well, partly because I need them to win, and partly because I think they'll win. King Vegeta or Scouter will be benched, and Raditz coming in, as you said, in comparison to GT Goku or Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta being benched, and Baby Vegeta coming in. And I think that does favor GT slightly, and the no night map, initially at least, doesn't favor Kaiju at all. So I think GT has a lot going for them. I think they'll take it.
Alrighty then, so we have 2-1 for GT. But I mean, we got two matches almost back to back that are going to be incredibly fun to watch, I believe. Moving on to match number 6, we have Sentai versus Muscle. Still want to give it to Sentai, still have hopes for them, but they're technically in the same position as Derp now, testing mode, so they might not be fighting as hard for the win, where Muscle is needing every single win. And Bojack actually had a few good weeks coming back, so I don't know. I would have to just edge it out for Muscle. I think they just have a little too much going for them right now coming into this match.
I'm gonna have to give it to Muscle. They have more to fight for. They're hungrier. Sentai, they'll probably be testing a little bit. They'll probably not be at hungry for the win. And Muscle's still trying to get that back. So I'm gonna have to give it to Muscle.
I'm gonna go Sentai. The main reason I say that is not because of what Sentai necessarily brings, it's what Muscle loses. They do have a divisional week 15, so I expect Master Roshi to be benched for that divisional, and I mean Super Trunch will be benched for this match, and as one of the star members. With that said, Sentai, they have Butter coming back, and they'll have Jace or Saiyaman benched, which I don't think is as hard as a loss as Super Trunch would be for Muscle. So I do think that gives a slight edge to Sentai, and they'll be able to take it.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a good match nevertheless, but 2-1 Muscle to Sentai. With the 3 divisionals next week, yeah, you do have to wonder what they will keep on or not. So moving on to match 7, we have Rugrats versus Namek. Assuming Namek does the prep this week, and to be fair, last week their lineup probably was pseudo prepped still. I would still give it to Rugrats. Nothing against Namek, but I mean, they've just been looking super scary, and the fact that they have all these options with Go Tanks and stuff, and even say Cyberman or the Kid Buu Killer, as a certain commentator would call him, is coming back. They certainly have some stuff to be worried about. I think Namek's still a strong team, but this is at least to me going to be Rugrats' favored.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Rugrats as well. Namek still has a little bit of consistency errors, and while it'd be nice to make it to the playoffs, they still gotta iron out all the kinks that they even want to do well in the playoffs. So they'll probably be doing a little bit of testing. I believe Oasis has confirmed that they are going to be doing a little bit of testing, so that's that to bode well. And while Rugrats have been kind of playing with Gotenks, Gotenks has been doing 90k, which is definitely more than a little bit more than the weight of both the characters. So that's both of them taking their man on top of possibly Aurelia and Cyberman coming back too. So yeah, I believe that Rugrats are probably going to pull this one out.
I'm gonna go Namek. I do think that Aurelia will be benched since they have a divisional in week 15 for Rugrats, and I think Cell Jr. will be benched for that against RW. For Namek, they do have what I think is the easier opponent between Rugrats or Sentai. Sentai's in week 15, so I do think Nuova will be benched for Sentai's match, not this match, which means King Piccolo should be benched for this one. So I do think that this leaves a stronger lineup for Namek, and they'll be able to take it.
Okay.
Should be close.
So we have 2-1 Rugrats, but I mean, both these teams are certainly going to come out swimming. They both want all the wins they can get heading into playoffs. They're both still fighting for some big spots here. moving on to match number 8, we have Royals versus Resurrected Warriors. Ooh, this was another one. There's some very good matches with how the leagues turned out this season. It is always hard at the end when teams really figure out what they're doing. I would have to give it to Resurrected Warriors. I know Royals a strong team, and I know Pilaf coming in is actually a good thing for him nowadays. But like, it's just hard to see with Resurrected Warriors. 18's been on fire. Really, everybody except like Vidal's been on fire for them, and even then, Vidal did the work she needed to do this week to secure the win. So, um, I don't know. Royals just seem to have a little too many characters breaking a little too often. So I'm giving it to Resurrected Warriors.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Resurrected Warriors as well. We just have a divisional versus Androids in week 15, so they're obviously bringing their best this week. The Resurrected Warriors are a little bit more consistent than Royals. I wouldn't be surprised if Royals pull it off, but with how iffy Mecha Frieza has been, and Glug is up and down, Deborah is all off, I feel like Resurrected Warriors have just been a little bit more consistent lately, so I'm gonna have to give it to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Resurrected Warriors as well. Ada will be benched for this week. That is kind of a bench lock for them, as we mentioned a couple weeks ago. And then, as Zem just mentioned, Majin Vegeta should be benched this week, unless by some miracle they want to bench and it's me. And I'd be happy about that. Please, Wales, yes. But no, I do think it'll be a Majin Vegeta bench this week, which I do think favors Resurrected Warriors very heavily. And we know the damage output he can do it by himself. And I'll take Resurrected Warriors on this one. Still very close, though. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means.
Yeah, I think that even though we have 3-0 for Resurrected Warriors, they both have a divisional in the final week. So really, there could be a lot of surprises in store as they are waiting for that week. Or who knows, maybe they throw some boosts if they think they have the Zenny to split it up that way. So will be interesting. So that cuts it for the prediction portion. Is there anything you guys wanted to shout out or talk about here at the end?
Not for me personally.
No, I'm good.
Alrighty then. Well, that has been CapsuleCast Week 13. Please again join the Discord if you want to be part of more active discussion. We have everything from Pataras to teams to discussion or explanations on everything on the website. We'll have links to both of those down below. Please leave a comment if there's anything you like or dislike about the video, including my voice. I am obnoxious, I get that. Otherwise, this has been Week 13 CapsuleCast. Have a great one, guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.